Okay, so the purpose of this call is to get some information from the potential seller who sent us the purchase agreement. And we want to know where we can send our disclosure document, which is basically um, just a template for them to fill out that will help us to better know the property. So just ask information about the property, like if there are utilities hooked up or nearby that the seller is aware of, um, and we need every seller to fill it out to the best of their knowledge for each property. So we need at least one of them for each property filled out and signed by a seller. The other things we want to ask for are um, whether or not everyone who has an interest in the property, so all of the owners, have signed the purchase agreement. If we don't have all of the owners on board or all of the parties with an interest in the property on board, we can't move forward because we're probably going to run into problems down the road, and we don't want to invest uh, our time and effort, and also spend the seller's time if there's a low probability that the deal will close because other parties may not be on board with selling. So we need to make sure we have all of the owners that have signed the agreement. Now, if there are other owners involved and they have not signed the agreement, but the seller thinks they'd be interested in selling at the price in the purchase agreement, then we need to contact them. So ask the seller to provide us with their contact information. And when you get this contact information, right now I don't have a process to handle it. So you'll just have to send it to me, and then I can send an updated purchase agreement. Alternatively, you can email the seller with an updated purchase agreement. There is a purchase agreement document saved in Bittrex that you can use. So it'll be connected to the seller's information. So if I go to the CRM, I want to save this first. Sorry. Okay, now if I go to the CRM and I pick a deal, so I'll say this one since it's attached to a property, and I can click on document, and you want this, the DV LLC PSA to sellers, Bittrex 24, 120. That's the number of days. That's kind of our standard form. And it'll generate this. And what you will want to do is update any of the information in the highlighted areas so you'll want to change the date to today's date, and then you'll want to, it looks like the county didn't pull in right. You'll want to, so I'll have to update these documents, but you'll want to update this information to match the person who's going to be signing it. The property should all be the same. Double check to make sure the property is the same, but you'll need to update the date up here, the name right here, and everything else should be okay. You can just download the document, and then you can upload the document to an email and send it to the seller, and they can forward it on to any of the other owners that need to sign. And it's probably better to have the seller send it to the other owners because the other owners will trust the seller more than they will trust us. So that's the preferred method. If the seller doesn't have an email address or they don't want to do it that way, then let me know, and I can mail them out. So we can basically just create these for each of the other owners and send them a copy of this purchase agreement letter. So that is the first question that we need to know is, have all of the owners or parties with an interest in the property signed the purchase agreement? And the next thing we need to know is if the seller has a copy of a recent survey or if they have a copy of a recent deed that has a description of the property. And a lot of deeds will have a really detailed description of the property that will say something like go north 5 degrees, 243 feet, then go south 8 degrees, 120 feet. And a description like that will help us to make sure we know right where the property is and we know the boundaries of the property. Sometimes it's really hard to identify exactly where a property is. As you know, some of our mapping systems don't have properties. Like the property doesn't show up when we try to search for it. So having a survey and or a copy of the recent deed is important to help us make sure we're looking at the right location. So that's something that we ask our sellers to send to us if they have it available. Now, if the seller does not answer the call, leave a message and just say, hi, this is your name from Deed Ventures. I was just calling because we received your purchase agreement and we're interested in moving forward with the property. And I would have a few items I'd like to confirm with you. And then leave your information. If they have an email address, then say, I will be emailing you. You don't need to necessarily call me back. I'll email you the information we need. And the email that we will send them is, let's see, documents. Oh, no, we want an email. So we'll go to mail and wait for it to open. And then, oh, there should be a template option up here. Oh, that's weird. Okay, so there should be a template. Maybe I can do it from here. Yeah, I don't see a template option. Sorry, this is maybe going to be a long video. You might want to fast forward a little bit. That's really weird. I was just doing the template. No templates. So it'll be this one, and I'm actually finding the deal. So I'm going to change this to say seller first. Seller missed initial call. Make it available to everyone for now. Okay. So let's see. Yeah, I don't see a template option, but you can do if you attach a document. So yeah, there's a template thing right here. So you say seller missed initial call email, and then delete the attachment. I don't know why it isn't giving the template option, but as you can see, there's a lot of weird spacing there, but as you can see, this has our document here, or our document's been deleted, so now it just has the text, and we're basically asking those questions. So this is going to be the person's first name, and it's titled Purchase Agreement Follow-Up, and it just says, "We've received your purchase agreement and are in the process of reviewing it. I just tried calling you to confirm a few items. One, have all the parties with an interest in the property signed the purchase agreement? If not, are the other parties on board with selling, and how can we best reach them? And then, do you have a copy of a survey or deed with a detailed description of the property boundaries that you can send? These will help us identify the property boundaries so we can determine what is on the property and what is on neighboring properties. I also wanted to let you know that I'll be reaching out shortly with a disclosure form for you to complete, which will help us with the purchasing process. Feel free to contact or email, and you will be sending another email. There's another template with the disclosure form, so you'll send this one, and this template you will attach the document to, and that will go to them for the disclosure. So you can send that like 10 minutes later or something, but it's a separate task to send the disclosure. So if you call and they don't answer, leave a voicemail. If they have an email address, then just send this email right away. If you call and they don't answer, and they don't have an email address, and they don't have a voicemail, then just don't complete this task until you're able to get a hold of them. So just keep calling them, and if they don't have an email address, but they do have a voicemail, just leave them voicemails and let them know that you'll try calling back later, and give them your number so they can try calling you back directly. Because if they call the number back on the letter, all those calls just go to voicemail. So anyway, that's all I can think of for this step. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Thanks.